And then I have a couple of general questions. So, CJ, you get to start. Are you ready?
Oh yeah, for sure.
CJ, you're a sophomore. You just finished your sophomore year in college,
hmm
and you shared that you're a music education major. Can you talk a little bit about what that's like and where that leads?
yeah, okay. So, music education is a kind of widespread music major thing. So, as a music education major, I don't just study like strings specifically. I take a lot of different technique classes. Like this upcoming semester, I'm signed up for a wind technique class, and last semester, I did my string technique class, so I learned both viola and cello, and I have pedagogy classes, and I take like elementary music methods and then choral music methods. And so it's kind of a widespread thing. So it like prepares you for any type of music class. Is that
And does that lead to you being a teacher? Is that the goal, CJ?
Yeah, the goal is to be a music teacher. I would really like to be like a middle school music teacher and have like a middle school orchestra. I think that'd be really, really fun. I really like middle schoolers. I think they're hilarious. So I think that would be a really fun thing for me.
Cool, good. Sophia, congrats on the valedictorian thing. I know you worked hard to do that. It's very cool. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Um, I'm struggling with, are you going to triple major Spanish?
No.
Tell us about what you're going to do in Boston.
Yeah, so as of right now, I plan on double majoring in cello performance and also Spanish. Um, and then obviously I really love voice and I really love to sing. I don't want a triple major, that'd definitely be way too much, but
Yeah,
um, depending on how things work out, it'd be really cool if I could maybe minor in voice when I get to like my sophomore or junior year, if I could add that on later. Or I would just not minor and just like take voice lessons and join like a singing group and do kind of other activities that are related to that. But as of right now, I do plan on double majoring.
cool. And what are you going to be when you grow up, Sophia?
I don't know. I have no idea. And I think that's really exciting. So I'm excited to see what happens. As of right now, I just want to keep learning and keep doing music and keep doing everything that I want to do. So.
Spanish, how did you, what's the interest there? Just do you want to become real proficient in that language?
Yeah, so I started taking Spanish when I was a freshman in high school, obviously, because that's the earliest age they offer it up here. But um, I just think that there's so many languages in the world, and it's kind of sucks that I only know one. So I think it'd be really cool to become fluent in at least another language. And I really love Spanish. I'm in AP Spanish right now, and I just kind of want to keep. I definitely don't want to just drop it and never do it again. So I think I really want to just major in that so I can keep learning about it and you know like use it when I travel and stuff.
Is teaching on your list at all?
Yeah, it could be. It would be, I don't know what I would want to teach. I could teach Spanish. I think that would be cool if I want to do that, or teaching, like CJ said, she wants to teach music like in middle school or whatever. I don't really have a specific age group I'd want to teach. Like I think it'd be cool to teach. It's not like what my complete goal is, but I think if that's where I end up, that'd be really cool.
Sure, good. Okay. McKinley, um, tell us a little bit about your experience as a junior wandering around Thailand. Can you talk a little bit about that? And was that a good experience? There was some ups and downs. Did you take your instrument with you? Can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it was a roller coaster ride of everything. So it's really hard to explain in like such a short amount of time, but like there was a lot of self-growth and a lot of self-realization during that time. And so I definitely had to go through some very low lows and then in order to get myself to where I am now, which is really awesome. But I did take my viola with me actually, and I the one of the ways I was coping with like my homesickness and me being away from like all my friends and at home and stuff was like me playing the piano, playing the viola, and just like doing any sort of music thing because that's my comfort zone in my room. So I was practicing the viola, and Sharon actually gave me a book of solo pieces to practice before I went there, and I got to practice them and perform them later when I got home. So
There wasn't an orchestra you could join in Thailand?
there was, but they were very like beginner level. Like they only started like a couple months before I got there, so I was basically helping teach them, which is actually kind of cool and really hard to do when you don't know the language.
Okay. McKinley, the lows, were the just being away from home in Thailand? What was that about?
Yeah, it was being away from home and not feeling totally confident in myself. I was having a lot of struggle with myself, with self-love, and being able to like accept myself. And yeah, and it was just a really hard time for me to be able to love myself because I was also struggling with the language, and I felt like I wasn't learning as much as I could have been. And I tend to be really hard on myself, so yeah, I was just constantly like barraging myself with negative comments like, oh, you should know more than this by now, and you should try to become fluent, and you should be practicing every day. You shouldn't be sitting in your room watching Christmas movies over and over. Um, but yeah, it was just kind of a process of exception, yeah, of like accepting myself and being able to love myself for the way I am.
Cool.
Yeah.
Ladies, all three of you, I want you to think about when you're 35 years old, or maybe even 40, what, if you had a magic wand, what would the perfect world look like when you're between 35 and 40? This is for all of you, so whichever one of you wants to jump in, go. And silence is not golden here. Speak up, ladies.
Call on somebody.
McKinley, you've got the stage. You get to go. Continue.
Okay. One sec.
She has to go to the bathroom.
You just left.
Sophia, you go while McKinley's doing whatever she's doing.
Okay, do you mean for myself or just in general?
What's your life going to look like when you're 35 or 40 years old?
I don't know.
What would you like it to look like?
I think that whatever I'll be doing, I hope it's something that I'm happy with. Kind of like I said before, it's not really like a clear goal that I have. Like, oh, I want to be teaching in a school. Oh, I want to be doing exactly this and exactly that. I think as long as it's under like the umbrella of things that I love to do, then I would be okay with it. Like music, like I said before, like music, singing. I want to keep singing. And playing my instrument, possibly teaching, like I said, continuing to travel. Yeah. And
What kind of an environment would you want to be living in? Would you want to live in a small town, in a big city?
Yeah. So I've always, because I'm going to Boston for school, I could never see myself actually living there, like for the rest of my life or anything, to grow up. Same with places like California, like by the beach and stuff. Although I love those kind of places, it's just not where I see myself like being. I think somewhere like Big Bear, maybe not Big Bear exactly, but somewhere I've always pictured myself living like in the mountains still, or somewhere like that, because I love the snow. I love it to be cold. I don't like when it's warm all the time.
Be married and have a bunch of kids?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Not a bunch, maybe like one or two.
Okay, CJ, your turn.
Okay. Let's see. I would definitely like to be teaching. I would like to eventually move up to Oregon. So, because I really like the mountains and I like being cold. I hate the heat, so never living anywhere really hot because that's disgusting. Yeah, I want to teach. That's pretty much all I have. Oh, I want some dogs. I want to teach music and I want to have some dogs and I want to live in Oregon. That's pretty much where I see my life going right now. So, yeah.
Dogs, that's plural. A bunch of dogs?
Like 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
McKinley, what about you at 35 or 40 years old?
Um, I'm not exactly sure. Like, I have a lot of different ideas and a lot of different things I love doing, so I honestly have no clue. But I really have like always been wanting to just like travel around in a van and like make a little home out of my little van and just like go travel around the US or go backpacking in Europe or something like that. Um,
You need
and
to
I
get
really just
yourself
want
a
to go
damn
travel
car.
around and maybe like do music or um, maybe like fashion design or something. I'm not exactly sure.
Will you live in will you live in a big city or rather a smaller town? Not sure.
Definitely a rural town, more smaller because I don't see myself living in a big city, especially like or maybe like a little bit, but not for a really long time. No, definitely
Okay.
not.
This question is for all of you. You've all talked about Sharon Rizzo. Can you briefly give me the one or two things that made her so important in your lives? McKinley, you want to go ahead and start with that? What is it about her?
Um, she's just like it's hard because there's so many things about Sharon that you can love. It's like she really is just our orchestra mom, and she really does take really good care of us and wants the best for us always, and always pushes us to be greater, and is like always so encouraging and loving. And
Does she ever, does she ever get mad? Did she ever get mad at you, McKinley?
um, yes, yes, definitely for not practicing. Um, I've definitely showed up to a couple auditions, having barely practiced the pieces, and she was like,
So she let you know about that, right?
"Yeah, yeah,
CJ,
yeah."
how about can you talk to us a little bit about what was special with Sharon in your life?
Well, Sharon is Sharon. I don't know how to like put that into words. Like, I feel like you have to just spend time with her to really understand like how important she is to like all of us. Um, for me, she really like taught me how to like be a really good musician. She never let me play badly, I guess. She was like she said to like strive for perfection. Like when we played, if we played a wrong note, we had to stop. We had to fix every little thing. And I feel like being so detail oriented has made me like really picky with like my own playing now. Um I spent a lot of time with Sharon over the years, like through rehearsals. I mean, I went to her house like all the time to practice and just kind of hang out. Um, she's really like my second mom. I really don't know where I'd be without her. She's really been an inspiration for me, and she's one of the reasons that I want to be a music teacher. Like,
Cool.
I don't know.
That's good. Sophia, it's a little odd for you because in addition to being your musical person, she's your mom. Uh,
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about qualities? I read some things that you had said about her. Can you talk a little bit about what made her special as a music person in your life?
Sure. So, basically like my whole life she's been like a music person because she was obviously playing cello way before I was born. And when I was born, so I've always been around it, I guess. And it's very unique to see, I guess, kind of a different side of her than other people do and get to kind of see everything because I feel like I know her better than a lot of people. And she's my best friend. So it's very interesting to see that whole behind the scenes thing. Because I know exactly, like I kind of said this in the video, but I know like exactly everything she puts into everything, and I know exactly how hard she works and how much she cares about everyone, even if she's always, like CJ said, kind of detail oriented, and she always wants to fix everything, and she's very focused most of the time in rehearsals and stuff. Sometimes, you know, like I get to see how much she cares and how much she loves every single one of her musicians. So
All right, I think it's time to see if other these people out there have some questions. We'll open it up. So if you have a question, you can either wave at Tori and she'll unmute you. You can do it on chat, whatever you'd like. Your turn, my friends. Who has a question? Tori, you see some things?
I'm looking.
question, Sharon, but I don't know what it is.
What'd you say, Sophia?
Bob said he has a question.
Yeah, Bob Perry.
Bob,
Bob,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
ask your question.
Oh, great. I'm glad to go first here. Hey, this question is for Sharon rather than the other three interviewees this week. Hey, I've noticed that the Mountaintop performances have quite a varied selection of music genres, everything from classical and Baroque, religious, to rock and pop. It's not specific. Where and how do you find and choose all the eclectic music that you ask the musicians to learn?
Well, it's a process, and that's a really good question, because let's say the goal is the tours. That's really the ultimate goal, is like what we're going to do on any specific tour. So everything that we do prior to that, we do here in the mountains or somewhere around here, and we like to do it just as well here. So, every performance you do is should be better than the last. But in selecting the music, I think about how many concerts we're going to do, where we're going to play, but the ultimate thing is keeping your audiences interested and keeping your musicians interested, because if you're boring any one of those two groups, forget it. You know what I mean? We could do only classical music, high level classical music, and it would be wonderful. That's great stuff. But I like to have a lot of things that are familiar and a wide variety. So I categorize pieces into classical, Baroque, and religious is usually under one thing, because you can play them in a certain type of place, and you really need good acoustics for that. And so we could be doing an hour and a half concert of just that, and that could be 20 pieces of music right there. And then I like to have music from around the world. We've done a lot of Irish, Spanish, tangos, just music from different countries, and also American music is really big. We did an entire concert of American music, and it could be American, can be classical, American can be jazz, American can be folk, it could be fiddle music. So even under the umbrella of American music, you can have so many different types of styles. So, and of course our rock music, we are so fortunate in the last 20 years to have some really wonderful, wonderful arrangements of rock music. There's a few different arrangers that we use that I've mentioned before, the Vitamin String Quartet is one.
Just 1 second.
But
1 second. I'm at a video conference.
Oh, hi. In a nutshell, you said, how do I choose? So I choose all of those different things. But then the other piece of it, when we're doing the classical stuff, I love the Italian composers, because we go to Italy a lot. So, you can have everyone from, Nino Rota to Corelli to Vivaldi to Ennio Morricone, so I like to make connections between the music, the people, and where we're going, and every single piece. Well, there was one more thing. Sorry, my answer is too long, but I want to throw this in. When we did the Invitational Lucca tour, two big composers that were born and wrote their music in Lucca, Italy, were Boccherini, the cellist, and there's a Boccherini School of Music there, which we played at, and also Puccini. So we made sure we did some, Boccherini and Puccini, and that was a little harder to find stuff that worked for our group, but we did it. And one of the most beautiful pieces we did, I think, is probably one of their favorites, is Puccini's Chrysanthemi or Chrysanthemums, and it's really dark and deep and rich, and it takes a real high-level, sophisticated musicians such as these three to appreciate that. So lot of listening, a lot of researching, and so there you have it.
All right, Tori, who else?
I have a question.
Oh, Julie's got a
When you get a
question.
minute.
Go for it, Julie.
Oh, okay. This is not a musical question, but a business question. I am amazed at Sharon, what you're able to do all over the world. Where the heck do you get all the funding to keep your group going? I know you must get donations, but man, you need lots and lots of donations to keep this up.
Yeah.
Traveling all over the world.
Well, thank you, and I think you sent me an email about that too. So, okay, well, there's several ways that we are able to create our funds. First of all, when we do a tour such as an Italian tour, the musicians are responsible for a certain portion of that. And a lot of them raise their money, their own funds, for a good portion of it, whatever their portion is, by playing gigs in the community. Vaughn's was a big one. Playing the Village was a big one. A lot of them played weddings, and all kinds of things. But they had, maybe a year and a half. They usually have a 2-year period of notice, time, if they know they're going somewhere. So a lot of our musicians worked really, really hard to raise all of their funds. But in addition to their funds, there's another $40,000-$50,000 of stuff to pay for. That's cello seats, just buses here and there, transportation. There's a lot of, I would say $50,000 easily to come up with, above and beyond what each musician's contribution is. And that's when we do concert fundraisers. So, the revenue from each of our concerts that we do before we go, Snow Summit, the Tudor House, anywhere we, you see us concertizing, we, sometimes they're free concerts and there's donations. So we get a lot of donations, generous donations through those events. And also we have really just not random donations. We have a couple of major benefactors that donate annually a lot of money per year. And that has sustained us for, so there's a lot of different ways that we raise our money. But I will say that we are beyond lucky and blessed in this community to have received the kinds of support that we have over the past 5-8 years since we started this. It's really astounding. So,
well, Sharon, this community is so very lucky to have you. You are worth every penny, because not many places. I mean, it's just amazing. I watch you all the time, even though not necessarily always there. I'm always watching you on videos, and just amazing. And thank you, Barbara, for all your work too.
All right, we have time for maybe 1 or 2 other questions if they're out there, Tori? See anybody else?
Yes, before I read a question, Margot Pernardi posted this. She said, it's not a question, but I have a comment. It doesn't seem possible, but Paul and I knew Sharon when she was pregnant, so I remember when Sophia was born. So that's super cool, Margot. And then Beth had a question. To any and all musicians, who is your favorite composer and why?
Who wants to start? CJ, you got one?
I have a few, but I can tell you one of my favorite composers. One of my favorite composers is Dvorak, because he wrote a lot of really awesome symphonies. One of my favorite symphonies is the New World Symphony, we actually got to watch a performance of that on the Luca 2017 tour in Rome, which was super, super duper cool for me. I also got to play in a quartet with a couple other people, and we played the Dvorak American Quartet, which was really fun for me. I can't really pinpoint a reason why I really like Dvorak, but I just find his music really interesting, and I love the way that it like tells a really cool story and how I can just kind of like see different pictures in my head. So yeah.
Cool. McKinley, how about you? You have a favorite?
I don't have a favorite. Honestly, I'm really bad at picking favorites, especially when it comes to music. I don't know. I
Fair enough.
like CJ, I really like Dvorak as well, but also because of Chrysanthemums, the one that we played, I started getting like really into Puccini, and I just like love the way he expresses like emotions through music. Like his music is always so romantic and just full of emotion, and it just makes me like giddy inside. I don't know.
Cool. Sophia, you have a favorite?
I was actually gonna say Dvorak too, but I have a couple other ones. But yeah, I was gonna say Dvorak just because we've played a lot of, like CJ said, I was in the quartet that we played, the American Quartet, so it's really like meaningful to me and close to me. And I also like how he uses like his experiences in his life to write his music, so it has kind of, like CJ said, like a story behind it, and there's like a clear picture of what you can see when you're playing it. And also I think like some this isn't my favorite, but I was gonna say like some other composers, like different time periods, but like someone like Mozart would write like, it's kind of like the cello part is always like the bass line, or it's always kind of just this underlying thing that's not very fun to play, and it's kind of just like a accompaniment. Whereas like if you play something like Dvorak, every single part is important, every single part has its own special line to it and own melodies and stuff that are like interwoven and everything. So I think that's what makes him really special. I was also gonna say Holst. We play St. Paul's Suite by him, and I've also played The Planets by him, which is like one of my favorite pieces of music to play. It's just it's so interesting to play, and it's super fun, and I just yeah, I love things by him too.
Cool. All right, we have time for one more. Beth, you got one more out there?
It's actually Paul Samoida. He asked Sharon, who inspired you to become a music teacher / leader, and where do you think you get your teaching and inspiring style from?
Let's see. I never planned on being a music teacher. It was not in the plan. I got all of my cello degrees in cello performance, so I played a lot of chamber music, a lot of orchestral music, and a lot of solo music, and I really just wanted to be the best cellist that I ever could. But I think, you know, and I took a number of auditions around the country and everything. And when I finished my cello degree, actually in Dallas, an artist certificate, I played in an orchestra called E Palpati. It was a small chamber orchestra, sometimes with a conductor, something without. But I think my inspiration for starting a music program up here was a couple of things. I actually had a similar question a few weeks back. I think my inspiration for starting a music program here in the mountains was my time in the Aspen Music Festival. I spent 3 summers performing in the Aspen Music Festival, and we got to stay there for the whole summer, and the whole music in the mountains, you know, relationship that was always intrigued me. And also when I started my program, Music of the Heart, the movie was just coming out. This was back in right around 2000, or it had, you know, it was like a recent movie that I watched, and it was really, really inspirational, where a lady, to make in a nutshell, took just regular kids in a bad area of New York, and she got them to be really good, and eventually they went to Carnegie Hall. So but as far as my teaching style, Paul, what are you trying to say there.
It isn't Paul, it's Jill, but that's fine. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. It is. So that's Jill. Wasn't Paul who asked that? My teaching style, I don't have an exact method, but the vision, everything that I want to happen, it's just the vision is, and I just go towards that. And it's kind of a weird teaching style, but it's kind of sort of like whatever it takes.
Sure.
If I could sort of clarify, I guess going off of when you asked Phil what to describe Sharon as a person, as a teacher, as a leader. Well, JB is still asleep, so I'm kind of speaking for him, but just having witnessed the transformation that took place in our son when he started playing with Sharon. And over the years, not only being around her, but being around the other kids who had been with her for a while and were leaders in their behavior as well. I think we can all point to a person in our lives who, not only by their person, by their character, by their integrity, but also by the way they pushed us to become the best versions of ourselves, whether that's comfortable or not. And it certainly was not for JV, but in the best possible way, because it forced him to really face those times when he wasn't living up to his potential, or when he wasn't being a responsible member of the group. He really learned it taught him a lot of, and I've said this a lot of times, he's not a sporty kid. He never was interested in team sports. It just was not his thing. And that's a hard way to grow up in Big Bear. If you're not involved in sports here, especially as a boy, it doesn't bode well for you. So he learned many of the character lessons that sports teach you from Sharon in terms of being pushed, but in a way that makes you better, that doesn't break you down as a person, if that makes sense. He learned discipline. There just are not many people in our lives, especially I think these days, that are willing to push us beyond the point of being comfortable for our own good, if that makes sense.
No,
And it's led him to become this person who I think as parents, we could not have played that role for him. And like the girls said, that Sharon has been in many ways a parent to him, and that she has inspired him to do things I think he never would have done, including trying out for and getting into Idlewild. And then that's only the beginning. When you get in, it's just unbelievably hard work, long hours, just exactly what Sharon prepared him for with the Italy tour, all those hours, and being exhausted and sometimes hungry and uncomfortable. And all of that brought him to a point where he could, without us being present, for the last 8 months until he came home because of the pandemic, he was really on his own in so many ways. And I really feel like Sharon was sort of a presence in his mind that reminded him, you've done this before and you can keep doing it. The late nights of practice and the waking up early to do academic classes, and his private teacher, Todor, who Sharon knows, he's not a complimentary kind of guy. He doesn't hand out compliments easily. And that's wonderful, because when you do get that little bit of, you did well today, it's just like, oh, it's huge, and, having him experience all that in a way we never expected, what has been, and I'm sorry, I'm being long-winded, but I can't express enough how Sharon and the whole group, the kids too, because she created this beautiful community. How the whole group and how Sharon herself has really changed our lives as a whole, our family's lives, JV's life. So
sure.
I'm sorry, I'll shut up.
That's all right. Well, our time is up, my friends. I think you all know, number one, these three young ladies, CJ's already gone off, but Sophia and McKinley go off to wherever they're going off to and whatever their lives look like. The three of you have been major leaders in terms of this whole thing, and you need to feel very proud of that. And I hope you've learned some lessons that'll stand you well for the rest of your life. And of course, we could go on and on about Sharon, and we don't want to embarrass her anymore. There's no question that she has really been the leader, and it'll be interesting to see as time moves along how that plays out. So thank you all for being with us today. I hope it was interesting for you. And we're going to call this meeting to a close. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everybody.